from our end as well?
Not needed, because this will be stored on YouTube. So anyone can, I mean, if you want to record, of course you can. But this is live streaming. It will be live streaming on YouTube. So it will be available to anybody who wants to see it later. So this is just one thing we do so that teachers get a chance. So, okay. So we are on YouTube now. Welcome, everyone. So welcome to the session on flowers and seeds and insects. Of course, the live session is far more enjoyable, but I'm sorry, I'll have to take a webinar only today. But I hope you are able to enjoy it. So let's begin with our questioning. The first question is, how do you recognize flowers on plants? So for teachers, how do you recognize flowers?
By its color.
Okay.
Smell.
So smell. So yeah, so that's the most common answer we have. But if you look at this tulsi flower in my hand, it doesn't have a very attractive color. Sometimes you can actually have green or very dull flowers, and this really doesn't have any extra smell. I mean, it has the same smell which tulsi leaves will also have. So, I mean, how would you distinguish such flowers from leaves, let's say? So color and fragrance is not universal, right?
Ma'am, we have an answer here via the shape.
Okay, so what is the shape of a flower?
Usually round, circular, distinct from the shape of a leaf.
Okay, so Mrita has said usually round, circular. Somebody is telling me they contain pollens too. But pollen is something which you look very closely, and pollens are so tiny that you don't see them as particles. You might see only like a yellow color. Of course, that's quite visible. Sometimes like a little particles are visible. But right now, the question is, how do you recognize them on a tree, or a plant? So one is that through shape. So, and the shape is, like she said, shape is generally round. So I have a flower here. So is roundness the only characteristic of a flower? What else do you see in this shape?
Cylindrical shape, ma'am.
Right. So we do see that it's a little like a bell, there's a tunnel inside, there's a hole inside, call it a well, whatever, but there is a hole. So, I mean, this is true of typical flowers. Of course, flowers can have very complicated shapes also. I have an orchid here. So orchids are pretty complicated, and see, so here's an orchid. I mean, it's certainly not circular, but typically flowers would have these circular, what are called as whorls, I mean, like things arranged in a circular fashion, whorls. So one is, we would typically recognize by shape. Anything else that, where are flowers based in a plant, on a tree? Where do you see them?
Ma'am, we have another answer. We could recognize a flower through its petals, which are distinctly different from the leaves.
So how are petals different from the leaves?
The texture, color.
Okay. So yeah, normally the color and texture means, I mean, see, think of how you will talk to children. So when you talk to children, you would, I mean, I would request you to even avoid word texture. You will have to make sure that the children understand. So say that, what will you say?
By touching the leaves, feeling the texture, the softness, the thickness.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So they feel very different. I mean, they are very delicate, soft, and that also. But like I said, it's not always necessary. I mean, if you team flowers or mango flowers, or like here I have tulsi flowers, like there are tons of flowers around us, which will not show these characteristics. So it's like these things may not be always essential, right? So, but I also asked another question: where are they placed on a plant? Where do you find flowers?
on 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 top. And ma'am, we have another answer. We can recognize a flower because a bee sits on a flower.
Okay.
There's another
Yeah.
answer, ma'am.
So sometimes, okay. So sometimes we see insects sitting on them. So we might recognize that way, but also outward. See, on top. So flowers are almost never hidden inside, deep inside. They are outward. So outward means like it has to do something to do with what they are meant to do. So I mean, well, so flowers are probably advertising something. I mean, well, Sir David Attenborough, if you've heard him, he says flowers are the first advertisers in the world. They are advertising something. They are showing something. They are trying to attract somebody. So we'll surely come to all that. So flowers are always outside, and we saw the shapes and all that. So let's come to the purpose of a flower. I mean, I have all these questions on my PPT, so I'll run the PPT also. But currently, I mean, the questions are important. What do you think a flower does for the plant? What is its purpose? It has to have some function. What is the function?
It's used for reproduction, ma'am.
Okay, so can you say this in simple words? I mean, not using scientific terminology. Suppose you have to say what flowers do. What will you say?
To produce more flowers, more
To produce
plants,
more flowers,
more
more
plants.
plants. Or you can say they help the plant bring children, bring the next generation, right? Yeah, so the next generation. So they actually help in, so they don't bring directly, they help in bringing the next generation. How does the next generation look like for a typical plant? What does the next generation look like before it's a small plant?
Uh, they have fruits and seeds.
Okay, so fruit is certainly not the next generation, but seed. Seeds are actually plants' children. I mean, we don't look at it look at them that way, but it's the seed which grows into a new plant, isn't it? So they are like children. They are the next. They are there to bring the next generation alive. So there's an intermediate stage, you can say. So yeah, flowers help in producing seeds, and we'll see how. So let's get to seeing a flower and seeing the flowers that you have brought, and I have also brought some from around my surroundings, and we will look at them pretty closely and uh, try to decipher. So wait just a sec. So here the same questions: how we recognize flowers on a plant, are all flowers colorful, do all the flowers possess fragrance, where are they placed on a plant, how do we differentiate the flower from leaves? I mean, that's another question you can ask. And uh, so then comes the question what we just talked about. Why do plants make flowers? By the way, those of you who want to use this PowerPoint or like refer to it, this we can happily pass it on if you need it. I mean, maybe science teachers would want to. So we have come to the purpose of a flower. That flower helps in bringing the next generation, right? Or children. So they make. So then come more questions. Why are flowers pretty? What service is the flower providing? So, I mean, what would you say? Why are they pretty? Why are they beautiful?
To attract insects.
Okay, but then why should insects be attracted? I mean, the business is with the plant itself. The plant has a business with another plant, but why invite insects? Okay, so So yeah, so we get to pollination and cross pollination and things like that. Terms we already know, right? But it's not necessary that children know them. So it's like we have to, because even a word like pollination or a word like reproduction hides a huge process behind. So there's a lot of how. So how does pollination happen? So that whole mechanism, the process that is hidden behind the word pollination. And same with the reproduction, many things are hidden behind that. And then comes the why. So first the how. How do we see it in nature? How do things happen in nature? And then we should come to why does nature try to do all this, right? So how and why questions actually build science. So you can see that we have been asking this why. uh, uh, there's another question here. Okay, plants have interest in insects, they want to invite insects. What interest do insects have in plants? Why should they come?
To get the food.
So what is the food? Where is the food?
In the flower, in the form of the nectar.
Yes, correct. So flowers actually hide a bribe for insects. So in this flower, the bribe is some inside. Where is it kept? The bribe, the nectar, the sweet liquid. Where is it kept?
In the bottom of the flower.
Yes. So the liquid, the bribe is actually hidden deep inside. It's not just offered just like that. So the plant is tricking the insect. The insect has to come, visit, do something. Then only the insect receives some reward. So that's something, that do something is something we are going to see closely. But before that, let's look at the important parts of a flower. So I will get back to the PPT. So a flower necessarily has male and female parts. See, if you have to take this with children, you will say, it will be nice. We can tell children that, we see males and females in humans, in animals, in birds, and so on. So there are males and females in plants also. This would be news for children, right? So they have males and females, but interestingly, the male and female are both inside the same flower normally. Usually, a usual flower has both male and female. So today we will learn to recognize the male and the female. Many of you, of course, will know it already. So, but for those of you who don't know this, so we'll see them today. So first, let's learn to recognize them. So one thing is a usual flower. The structure of a typical flower is like this: a single female in the center, surrounded by a lot many males. So male and female exist in the same place. But one way you can recognize them is that the female would be normally a single one and males would be men. So that's why we have deliberately used this figure. And then that's one way to recognize. And let's see their shapes. So this is female shapes. So you can see that female is actually a tube with the upper tip either flattened like this, and it's pretty sticky. If you touch it, it's pretty sticky. So either this or the top portion may be subdivided into 3 or 5 parts like that, or it could be a simple pointed tip. So any of these. So we normally don't see the swollen base. Sometimes we can swollen base, which is actually the nursery, you can say, where where raw children or raw seeds are. So this is visible, the swollen lower part, but females have to have a womb. So this is the womb, but the top is like this. And I mean, well, we all know this top is like this to receive pollen. So, and here you can see the female tips of 2 lilies. And so here it's subdivided, here it's a single tip. And how about the males? The male is like a thread with a little kind of a cap, you can say, which has some yellow dust. This yellow dust is pollen. So, but sometimes they're so tiny that it's not easy to see the dust as particles. It's like you will just see the yellow color. So males are like this, and here is males of a lily shown here so clearly. So I mean, because it's enlarged, you can see the pollen dust as well, and these are males. So and here's a full lily. Lily is beautiful because it shows its parts so clearly that you can see them with naked eye and directly in front. So there is a female one, single one, and surrounded by males. So what we'll do is we'll do this exercise for all the flowers that we have brought, right? So just a sec. So what I'll do is, of course, I have a lily here also, the spider lily. Okay, this is stolen from a neighbor. Because I don't have as yet. I had some lilies, but now currently no flower was there. So what I'll try to do is, let me show it on my table. So my table is on another, so I'll show everything on my table. So I have spotlighted it for everyone. So you can see the lily flower here. So you see the female, the single tall one, so brilliantly displayed, and also the surrounding males. So lilies show them beautifully. And actually, I mean, science teachers who teach this to children, it will be nice to bring lilies. The thing is, if you purchase them from the market people sometimes break the male heads, this male tip. They break because they think it doesn't look pretty. So in the market, you might find lilies being sold, which are like where the male tip is not there at all. It has been broken by the person selling. So lily is one very beautiful flower. There are plenty of flowers around us which show parts. So I will show you this yellow flower, which is actually pretty common. I mean, at least in these parts, I'm not sure about Assam. And this one, so I'll have to just open it gently, which you will also do soon. So I have opened it. Wait. And I am showing you the male and female. Can you see? A single female and 3 males here.
Ma'am.
Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this flower is pretty common, and this one actually showers flowers every day. Every day, hundreds would be lying on the floor. So again, very useful for us. So I have some other very interesting flowers, which I'll show, and I'll also come to, and after which I'll leave you to actually look at your own flowers, and will request some of you to show on camera if they can. I mean, if possible.
I'm showing my flower to you.
Okay, so let me spotlight it. So she's showing. You'll have to keep it against some dark background. I mean, okay, keep against white paper so that everyone can see. But so first, maybe I should let teachers open their flowers. Yeah, so we bring it closer to the camera. Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, very clearly visible. So many flowers have this very clearly visible, but not necessarily. Sometimes it's hard to interpret. And biology has one peculiar quality. So there she has, Somdata has this. Okay, it is a lily. Somdata, open it a little more so that, I mean, we can all see
Yes, yes, ma'am.
the female is very clearly visible rising on top. No, not this one. I was asking for the lily. See, the other flower she was showing was actually a bougainvillea. See, bougainvillea is a peculiar flower. I'll just take, yes, female is very clearly visible, and even males are visible, even to me, but everyone else, you can just circulate it around. If there are other lilies in the room, please circulate them around, because lily is one of the most beautiful models for understanding this. Same for gladulus also. Gladuli also show very beautifully male and female. So please circulate them around. So please circulate the lily. And I am also going to show some peculiar flowers, starting with bougainvillea. So I'll request just have a look a little first. So one request is to not to currently get into compound flowers. We'll come to them later. So this is a compound flower. This is also a compound flower. All chrysanthemum and marigold and rose and sunflower. So we'll come to compound flowers a little later. Right now, what we are looking at is simple flowers, but simple flowers also have peculiar variations. I mean, in biology, it's used.
Now.
Yeah, so bougainvillea. See, here is a bougainvillea flower. So you can see the flower is in the center, which will have its male and female parts, very tiny. But the rest of this thing, which look like petals, are not actually petals. These are leaves. How do we know? Because you can see veins. You can see veins which are there in leaves. So this plant is clever enough to convert some of its leaves into colored ones to attract insects. Doesn't want to waste its resources. So it's like the flower is tiny, but the job of attraction is being done by leaves. So here's a bougainvillea with buds. So currently the flower hasn't opened. These are buds around which the leaves have changed color to do the job of attraction. These are called bracts. And then when the bud opens up, then bougainvillea flower, tiny flower shows up. And here's
I'm showing the specimens of the different teachers, the different flowers that they got, and when they opened it.
Great. So I will add your spotlight. Yes, excellent. So then, okay, I want to show a few peculiar flowers, but before that, I'll leave you to first see the flowers that you have. Some will have strange peculiarities also. It's not always simple, but at least some simple flowers we are able to see. That's great. And Francoji, whenever you get those that packet, if that packet we can get, then teachers can use the eye loop lens. I want to show the eye loop lens also. Here's on my table. This is the eye loop lens. Actually, it's a very useful device, particularly for children, because it's so simple. It's a simple field device, also cheap. So children can use it to see large. We had sent a packet, but that courier hasn't arrived as yet. Somebody's already gone to the courier shop. If it comes, I'll show you its usage. I will show you otherwise also, because it's anyway going to arrive in your school. So I'll show how one can use this to see tiny things, but that's later. So right now, I'll leave you to have a look at the flowers that you have brought. So please take your time and see.
Any other flowers? Ma'am, we have a papaya flower here. One of the teacher had got this. I don't know.
Sumdata,
Yes, ma'am.
it's like actually now the interaction between should be between all of you. So you show around like instead of showing to me, because I'm the only one actually benefiting that way. But actually, teachers should be able to see the flowers they have got.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
just circulate them around and
Sure, ma'am.
actually see them in groups. So and take your time over it.
If you have any suggestions, please let me know so that I will tell ma'am. That's called cross pollination. Nicely. Nicely. No, she has asked us to, interact amongst ourselves. When anything is powdered enough, that will be the name. Ma'am, I wish I could focus the camera. We are having a lot of interactions amongst the faculty members, and everyone is enjoying. I'll
Just give me a minute. Just give me
Yes,
a
ma'am.
minute.
Yes, ma'am. बहुत दुनिया से गए so many males अच्छा male female in the same plant bisexual or dioecious monoecious cross pollination আমি শুরু করেছি একদম সিম্পলি বলি
নেট কম্পিউটার না বলবো 2.4 gigahertz হ্যাঁ কম্পিউটার ডিসেম্বর no মই ইউজ করব না লাগে না সুবিধা আমার মোবাইলে পড়া দিছো হটস্পট
Yeah, so now you can please,
Yes.
if you want to show or ask
Yes,
anything.
ma'am, I'm not being able to move the laptop. However, we are all having a very interactive and interesting session. We are all exchanging flowers and trying to explain what exactly is the male part and the female part. And ma'am, every teacher over here is deeply engrossed in, showing each, one's flower to the other. So ma'am, it's just a great
Yes.
session over here.
Yes, great. Please go ahead. Take your time over it, because this is the most important, one of the most important activities we are going to do in the session.
Yes.
So let them explore.
এটা ফুল স্ক্রিন কেন দিয়া নাই এইটো এইটো হ্যাঁ লজি 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 হ্যাঁ লজি লজি কৰি দিয়া লজি হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ কৰি দিয়া বাস হ্যাঁ ऐसे দিয়া কি কৰিবি সায়েন্সৰ মাথা নাই এই ফিজিক্সটো ওলাও এইটো ফুল স্ক্রিন কেনেকৈ কৰে
বদনামি কেন হবো Ma'am, we are trying to focus.
all the teachers
Ma'am, we are trying to focus just to give you Anshumala, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, these are our teachers, our faculty members who are showing their flowers to you. They've all opened it up and they've seen the various male and the female part. They have a lot many questions, ma'am.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please ask.
Questions.
Yes, so please ask your questions, and I'm certain that there will be flowers which will pose a challenge.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not surprising. Nature is pretty complex and like it has so much variation in types and how things are structured or made. But one thing you will notice that every flower must have its reproductive parts. It's not necessary that everything will have male and female both, but at least one will have to be there because that's the flower's job. So I think ma'am in front is probably having a champa flower. Champa flower is pretty tough. If somebody, I don't know, champa is a magnolia. The champa is tough to see. It's champa, then sadabahar, then there are like the flowers whose are so tiny that they are very difficult to see. And I mean, even if you open them up, you don't see them easily. But anyway, your questions, please.
Ma'am, we have few challenging flowers. No, this is one.
Yeah, so see, firstly, you have to open the flower. Without opening, see the center part, which is like which is tunnel like, open it up and maybe you will be able to see the tiny male female inside. So most challenging flowers have the parts too tiny for us to see directly. So this one, this, I don't know which flower it is, but here also it looks like, to me it appears that the central part which is coming out, which looks like a flower, is the female tip. I mean, my guess from seeing on the video is the central thing which is sticking out is the female, and the surroundings parts should be, okay. Okay, now I see the
We
flower.
have a query. We have a query from one of the non-science teachers. Ma'am, he happens to ask that how can we identify whether a plant has only the female part, only the male part, or both?
See, like I said, normally you will find both together. Normally, that's the usual flower. It's only very, comparatively less cases, very few cases which have only an only male flower or only female flower. So typically, if you are opening a flower, expect to see both.
Yes,
and the one you were showing currently on camera, that one has very clear female coming out. The male, yeah, so the tip, that whitish thing seems to be the female, and the surrounding bodies are either male or are hiding the male. You'll have to open it up gently. So the thing is, see, often you will come across very difficult flowers. Difficult to interpret for us. See, nature doesn't bother about us learning. Nature just works. So one easy method is actually, if you know the name of the flower, give a Google search on such and such flower structure. For example, oleander. Okay, this one is, so yeah, so female is very clearly visible. You'll have to now look clearly for the males. Can you see males somewhere? At times, okay. So let me show
I
you
believe
some.
the males are embedded in this this structure, this S semi-S-shaped structure. I am not having a needle, ma'am. So that is what it looks like. That maybe the male, because there's something which is powdery coming up. The anther part, the filament part. So, ma'am, this is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah, so anther and filament are the male two parts. The top is the anther and filament is the thread below. So they are actually hidden. So what I'll do is, see, I will show some exceptions which I have. So I have some photos and I have some real flowers which are kind of exceptions. So that we'll have a little better sense. So friends, if you are unable to identify a flower, please don't get discouraged, because believe me that the first time I did this exercise, I did it with a PhD in biology. Of course, she was a PhD in microbiology, but we both went out, plugged flowers, brought them home. She was as lost as I was. So don't worry. So don't worry, because see, like I said, nature has so many varieties in the way structures are and how they look. And some are exceptions, but a whole lot also offer very easy view, very, very easy view. So both is true. So every season in every part of India, you will be able to find flowers which show their parts quite clearly. So if you do this exercise with children in your class, you'll certainly find plenty of flowers. Even I have right now. So I'll now switch to showing you some things in real and some things on as pictures, so that you have a little better sense. So now I'll switch to my table where you see a rose currently, and let me spotlight it. So see, rose itself is not a single flower, it's actually a bunch. We'll get down to rose soon, but first let me show you single flowers which are a little different. So one is this very interesting flower, which is called Cereus. So see, this flower it's also a bunch. So instead of a single, because plants do this because a bunch is more attractive than a single one. And that's just to save resources. So from the bunch, this is a single flower, right? And do you notice something peculiar about this flower? What is something peculiar here?
Ma'am, all are males?
Yes. So firstly, it doesn't have petals at all. It's not kind of done expenses on. This is expense for the plant. It's like expenditure. So the plant has not spent on petals or even the green sepals which are meant for protection. Nothing. It's just male and female parts, and it's a bunch. So can you see from each single flower, there are females sticking out further? Can you see them? They are taller.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Yeah, so the females are taller, though I mean, like you can see a thread and a tip only, but they are taller. And rest are all a bunch of males. So the flower has only the reproductive parts, which do the job of attraction as well. So attraction as well as the whatever the job male and female do, both are being done by the reproductive parts. So everything is done by the reproductive parts, and many flowers have bunches, which are called inflorescences, or they are compound flowers also. So I will first show you these interesting cases. So here is one interesting case. The other interesting case here is, see, this is bottle brush. I'm sure you have seen bottle brushes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So look at bottle brush. Here also, the job of attraction is being done by whom?
The male part, ma'am.
Yeah, so the male parts are there in bunches and they are red colored, brightly colored, and they are together. So they are doing the attraction. I mean, similarly, one should be able to find females if one looks closely, which will be taller generally. We'll come to this also. Why are females taller here, at least in the flower world? So this is another interesting case. Let me see if I have anything else interesting from my surroundings. Otherwise, okay. So we will also come to a hibiscus. See, hibiscus is a very interesting case because hibiscus or China rose is what all textbooks show as a typical flower. So can you recognize females and males here?
Ma'am, the yellow portions are the male part, and
Yes.
the elongated portion, the red, the tube-like thing, is the female part.
Yes. So the tube that you see is that of a female. So female is continuing from bottom to top. Like bottom, there's the ovary, the swollen part of the female. And from there, the female is continuing. And the female tip is actually subdivided and colored. Let me try showing. Otherwise, I have a very nice photo. So the female tip is subdivided into five portions. But the males are growing on the female. See, why I personally consider China rose, yes, hibiscus as confusing, that males are growing on the female tube. So this would be very confusing for children to learn, but somehow, because some biology textbook once introduced hibiscus, then all biology textbooks have been carrying on hibiscus for decades or centuries maybe. I don't know. I'll share my screen on hibiscus. So here's hibiscus. Just look at the way the structure is. The tip of the female is subdivided. It's normally different colored. I mean, well, here it's red. So the female is also red. So female is red, and the males you can recognize by the yellow thing, but the males are growing on the female. So I would recommend not starting with hibiscus. If textbooks teach it, that's fine. But children need to first look at males and females separately before they can recognize them clearly here.
Yes.
Right. Then, okay, here's, I mean, a little child observing flowers through the eye loop lens. So I will also show the eye loop lens. I mean, when it comes to you, you can actually use it to see flowers around you. This is what it looks like. I'll show its usage soon. But here,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, we had a small request. If you could just give us maybe a 10 minutes break, ma'am, because we have so many flowers. So we'll just go get new fresh flowers, and ma'am, we could just start the second session if you do not mind. Just a short 10 minutes break.
Yes, please do. So let's take a 10 minutes break. So
Yes, ma'am.
it's 8 minutes past 11.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when should we come back? We come back at 11:20.
Yes, ma'am. 11:20 would be fine, ma'am, for us.
Right. So we will come back at 11:20.
All right.
And yeah, we call this a bio break actually.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Because
Thank you.
our biology demands that. Okay.